Hey folks, JD here, and today we have got the JXD 510. So I'm really excited for this one. This is the X-Predator version. This is the update on the JD 509 that we tested June this year. April, May, around about June time. So let's open her up and have a little look on the inside. So, a little bit difficult to get out of the packaging. Very tight-fitting polystyrene on the inside. And that's what you got. So, look at this. It's actually very reminiscent of its brother, the 509. So let's open this up and have a little look. Right, okay, so as you can see, there was a bit of tape there just sticking over the top. So let's remove that. Let's remove the accessory bags. Let's remove everything that we don't need for the time being. Let's look at the quad. And then we'll go and have a look at the transmitter and everything else. Wow, so this has been updated. Oh, look at that. That is incredible. So this has got some very mean looks. The 509 was quite plain as quadcopters went. Just taking off that little made in China sticker there. Yeah, this is quite the update. So this is the 510, as you can see. If I just go and grab the 509, it's quite plain. So here we've got the 509, and here we've got the 510. I mean, look at the difference. The difference is staggering. I mean, on the original, it looks quite, just your standard quadcopter. There's nothing mean about it. There's nothing menacing. Whereas this one, this really looks as if it wants to kill you. This just looks incredibly mean, incredibly nasty. Yeah, that's the first thing that I noticed. Second thing, it's got X-Predators written on it. The camera looks as if it is exactly the same between the 509 and this one. The undercarriage here as well all looks exactly the same. The little LEDs and the LED protectors. Even down to the on and off switch is the same, and the battery protector in the back is also quite a lot like the 509. So to be honest, the main update itself seems to be this incredible looking style, and also on the propeller arms as well. Rather than just being plastic and plastic, they've actually added what I think looks a lot like a metal girder style affair. So you've got the very mean pointed front of the quadcopter as well as this girded plastic, which adds to the effect. Looks really industrial, looks really in your face, really, really, really does look menacing. So that's quite incredible. This quadcopter is FPV, so that does give you first-person video. So from the camera here on a 5.8 gigahertz frequency, will transmit back to your transmitter, where there will be a screen on the top, and that will show you exactly what this quadcopter is looking at. Also, don't forget, with the 509, there was altitude hold. Well, we've got altitude hold with this one as well. That doesn't alter. So far, the only thing that looks to have altered is the body. That's the only thing that looks as if it is completely different. So, let's have a quick little look for a second. If I put this to one side, let's get the transmitter out and see if that is the same or if that is different to the original transmitter that came with the 509 as well. So, as I was saying, there's your FPV screen. And with a little bit of persuasion, because it is underneath the box, out comes the transmitter. So let's have a little look. What's this say on the front here? Level correction methods. Okay, so how to emergency stop and how to configure the quadcopter before takeoff. That's handy. So Honestly, looks exactly the same. So obviously, because it has a barometer built in, we have the left throttle stick, which automatically returns to the center. That lets you know that this quadcopter has got altitude hold. Start and stop. One key return. Turn the LEDs on or off. Headless mode, photo and video. Likewise, you've got your trim buttons, which are pretty standard. You've got a little lanyard holder there as well. So if you wanted to have this this transmitter hanging around your neck, you can do if you want to. There's also on the top, the two shoulder buttons, you've got turn and you've got your speed as well. So what we're going to look at for the second, we're going to have a little look at this transmitter screen, and then we're going to attach it to the transmitter. So there should be, when you open this, yeah, there we are, you get your two little screen protectors either side, these two little arms here. So these little arms will stop glare and also stops this top from falling back down. So when you hold it upright, which is how you would look at it, would be like that. As you can see, if I can hold it steady, it's really quite solid. It doesn't flop about, and the screen doesn't obscure what you're actually looking at. Sorry, the screen protectors rather doesn't obscure what you're looking at on the screen. So let's fold that back up for the minute. You've got your on and off button on the side. You've got a charger port there as well, because the battery inside this is rechargeable. So you will have to remember, before you go out, don't just recharge your quadcopter and put the batteries in your transmitter. You do also have to recharge this screen as well. So there's a little part of this screen that I can see that doesn't come loose in the bag, so it must come in the accessory bag, and that is the reverse of this little bit here, which allows you to attach to the transmitter. So let's have a little look in the accessory bags that came with it. First of all, lying loose in the bag, in the box, were your propeller guards. I tend to find that I don't like propeller guards on the smaller quads. I much prefer to use them when the propellers can actually do some proper damage, like on the larger quads. Then I will always use propeller guards. So on this particular quadcopter, I'm not going to use them, but obviously if you feel like you want to, then that's completely fine. It's quite easy to fit. You just have to align this little hole at the back here with the hole at the back on the quadcopter. And quite honestly, it just clicks into place. And then when you've clicked it into place, there's just a little screw that you put in there just to hold it in place. Okay, let's take that off. So some of you might remember as well, it was the JXD 510 was the first quadcopter that I bought and subsequently flew into a tree. And it was because of that and the fact that it was in the tree for 5 days, and then when I eventually got it back down with the help of a friend, it actually still worked. And it was that sparked off this love of quadcopters, the love of flying, and the love of trying to test out as many as I possibly can. So inside the main accessory bag, there's quite a lot going on inside there. Let's open her up and have a quick little look. So we've got 4 spare propellers. Now on the reverse of these propellers, you're going to have the letters A and A, and then B and B. This denotes where they sit on the propellers, on the propeller arms rather. So be sure that the ones you're replacing or you're taking off because the ones may be damaged or smashed or just might not, they might have bent out of shape. Be sure you're putting on the right letter on the right arm, otherwise the quadcopter isn't going to fly. Right, so you've got spare propellers. There's also a USB recharger for the FPV screen. There's a USB charger for the battery, which comes with the quadcopter. There's also the part of the FPV screen that allows you to attach it onto the transmitter that we're going to be attaching very soon. There is the transmitter aerial. So you get 2 different types of screwdrivers, one large Phillips and one small Phillips. Not forgetting either the screws that you would need to attach the propeller guards onto the propeller arms, and also a USB card reader with a little 4GB SD card that we shall fit now. So on the underside of the quadcopter, you'll see you have the large camera at the front, and then you've got the printed circuit board housing with the antenna that comes off that. Now if you twist the quadcopter to the side, I don't know how well you can see this. Let me see if I can try and position this in a better way for you to see. Is that going to be... yeah, just... no. Sorry folks, trying to get this as best I possibly can. Inside there, there's a little card reader slot. And if you can see it from the side there, if I take my finger away, you might just be able to see a little card reader slot inside there, just where my fingernail is pointed. So what we're going to do is just pop this SD card in, and it's push to lock. So as you put it in, push it once, there we go, it's now locked in place. So now you can't take that back out without having to push this back in again, and then it releases it. So there we go. So that'll be enough just to record a bit of FPV video and a little bit of and a couple of photographs as well. So there's that. So all in all, you get quite a lot of accessories and quite a lot for your money, to be honest. I mean, this quadcopter set me back, I think it was £72, which is about, just a little bit cheaper than the original 509. So let's just pack all these up. Just make sure that I'm not going to damage anything on the next part here now, because this next part is quite important to ensure that the transmitter and the transmitter screen fit on correctly. So the bits I'm going to be leaving out are going to be the transmitter aerial, the little half locking thing that we're going to need as well. I'm also going to leave out the bag of screws because I'm going to need that for 2 screws in the back here. Actually, let's get those back out of the bag, and let's go for the larger of the 2 screwdrivers as well. So everything else is back in the accessory bag. We'll put that back away and keep that safe. Right, so let's move this here. Let's move this over as well. I seriously need to get a bigger unboxing table here. So that's the bit that we need, which I'm just going to, actually what I'll do, I'll put it behind the quadcopter there because I'm going to need to move the transmitter in a minute. So what we're going to do is, you'll notice, is this little fitting at the bottom of the FPV screen moves around. Alright, so that gives you your angle that you're going to need when you're viewing the FPV screen. On the other side, on the inside here, you're going to have a couple of grooves which fit into these grooves here. Okay, so just push in until you get the screen that fits on a lot like that. Right? Then what we'll do is turn it over slightly. And what I like to do, I don't like to put too much pressure on the screen because obviously you don't want to break anything. But just hold the screen and the transmitter a little bit like that. And then you can attach, hopefully the right way around first time. Yeah, you can attach the back of the FPV screen, a bit like that. So now we've got the screen attached to the antenna, which is then attached to this little bit of plastic that we've just popped on there. So now I'll get a couple of screws, only 2, is all you need, and it screws in from the back here. All these screws, oh, there are loads of different types of screws in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go for the smaller ones, I'm going to go for the larger screws. So 2 of those, seal the bag back up because I don't want to have screws bouncing everywhere. And then what I'm going to do is just take the strain again, like we did earlier. Oh, obviously this screwdriver isn't magnetic, so it's very annoying. I'm going to just pop, oh, it is magnetic. Oh, there we go, just not very strong with that magnetism. And then we're just going to screw in one side, not very tight, just a little way, just so it bites. And then we're going to do the other side. And then by us turning this over, oh, and doing the other side here, and then we should be able to screw it in quite well don't do one side tighter than the other. You want to have equal tightness either side. And also what you want to make sure as well is as you're tightening it, you're not losing that centered view. You don't want the screen going off one side more than the other. So you want it remaining pretty centered. So tighten one side a little bit, then the other side, until you get yourself quite a sturdy FPV screen attached there to the transmitter. So there we have it. That has been the FPV screen attached to the transmitter. Perfect. And as you can see, we then get a nice little angle whichever way you want to fly. We've now got that option. And it's on really tight. There we are. Really quite happy with that. Perfect. Now, just to add on the antenna. So the antenna, which arrives in a separate bag, screws in to, I don't know if you can see it very well, let me angle this a bit, screws into this bit here. That then gives you, because this quadcopter can fly up to, I think it's either 80 or 100 meters, which is quite far. So all we want to do is just ensure that we're getting the best range that we possibly can. So if we are flying via just first person view, then you want to make sure that that video doesn't crackle and you don't lose transmission halfway through. So there we have it. So that has been just the attachment of the FPV screen onto the transmitter. Let's have a little look at this transmitter in a bit more in depth. So this transmitter, even though it's really quite large and everything about it with the FPV screen and everything else seems quite sophisticated, this transmitter, a lot like all the others that we've seen, does not allow USB charging of the batteries. So the battery that you're going to have to put into the back here, you're going to need to either have your own rechargeables and make sure they are fully charged, or you're going to have 4 AA shop port bought batteries and then plug them in accordingly inside the battery bay there. So if this is a lot like the 509, then the 4 batteries that you use in there will last you a good 4 or 5 trips out with this. The 519 really was fantastic on transmitter battery life, and I'm pretty sure, as this looks to be exactly the same transmitter, that this is going to be the same as well. So there we have it. That's the transmitter, looking all quite nice. Now back to the quadcopter again. So yes, as we say, the main thing that has changed about this is the body and the body type, the body structure. The whole other part of the quadcopter, the underside, looks to be exactly the same. So I'm hoping that this flies as well with all the parts cut out of it as it did in the 509 when it was just one complete solid piece of plastic. So there's one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, and that is I haven't come across the battery yet. Now I thought the battery was going to be inside the accessory bag, but unfortunately that is not the case. So I'm hoping it's inside here, inside the battery bay. So let's just move all these cables out of the way. I don't want to pull the cables incorrectly and then damage the quadcopter or the battery, rendering it useless. So, oh yeah, there we are. There's a battery inside there. Perfect. So 600 milliamp hour coming in at 3.7 volts. Pretty standard considering this particular quadcopter, a lot like a lot of the others that we've seen, charges off USB. So let's get the charger ready, because I'm going to want to charge this up before I take her out. So there we have it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD. This has been the JXD 510G. So join me in the next couple of days when we go and take her out. Hopefully then we're going to put it through its paces and find out that it's better than the 509. I really don't want it to be worse. So come with me in a couple of days and we should have answers to those questions there. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. That'll keep you up to date with all of the videos that we're putting out. We've got so far 3 videos a week. We've got the unboxing, we've got the flight, and normally on a Monday at 6 PM GMT, I put out a video on either maintenance of the quadcopter. We've got a couple of projects coming up, so this is going to be quite exciting over the Christmas period and into the new year. And if they are quite well received, then we'll carry on doing them. So, until next time, my friends, happy flying.